We're gonna make it through the darkest night, 'cause everybody got a light.
Hey everybody, this is Troy Engel. Thanks for tuning in to part 3 of our Stories Behind the Album video series that we're doing for my album Fox Hollow Memories. I hope you got to watch part 1 and part 2. If you didn't, they'll be in the comments. You can watch them later. Part 1, we talked about how I met Tom T and Dixie and began writing with them. In part 2, we talked about all the special guests that I had on this project, and so that's a lot of fun. And like I've said a bunch of times, I'm really excited for you to hear this album in its entirety and listen to every song, and hopefully the songs will maybe take on a little special meaning, because you might know a little story or a little tidbit behind how it was written, or what it was, just learning about Fox Hollow and the environment that it was written in. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the song Fox Hollow Memories.
Come on in and sit right down. Could you pour some coffee for me? And what's the latest gossip going on in bluegrass this week?
Fox Hollow Memories, I sat down to write this song. All I had was a title. I knew pretty much that was going to be the title for this record, because it is Fox Hollow Memories. All these songs, take me back to writing. I don't necessarily remember every song and how it began, but I just think about those times sitting down there and writing with Dixie and Tom T at Fox Hollow. So when I sat down to write the song, I tried to start writing some eloquent thing, and I thought to myself, I'm going to write this the way Tom T and Dixie would write a song, especially the way Tom T would write. He is the storyteller, so he would just tell a story, and it's very simple, but great songs in an eloquent, amazing way. So that's what I was going for when I wrote this. I just wanted to take you and other listeners through what a day was like, just going down there and hanging out and writing and being with them. So really my day, pretty much every Wednesday, I'd had a writing appointment at Fox Hollow with Miss Dixie and Tom T, and if I wasn't on the road, which worked out most of the time, I would try to be down there on a Wednesday. And so I would leave our house. We lived in White House, Tennessee, which was about 30 minutes north of Nashville, and Dixie and Tom T lived about 20 minutes south of Nashville. So I'd have time in the car I knew Miss Dixie, as soon as I came through the door, she'd be saying, "Hey, what song ideas you got?" So I would sort of sit there and try to stew on some stuff and see if I could come up with something on my ride down. But of course, going through Nashville, going through the city a little bit. But as you got closer to Franklin, where Fox Hollow is, it gets much more country. And so as you turn down their road and then turn onto their lane, their driveway, they had about a quarter-mile drive up to the house. They had the big white gates out there. So you pull into the gate and punch in your little code, and a lot of most bluegrassers probably know the code. If you've stayed down there, recorded down there, they knew what the code was to get into Fox Hollow. But punch in the code and start making your way up to the house, up the drive. And it seemed like the closer you got to the house, the more the world peeled away. You just were leaving that world behind. Time really stood still, at least for me down there, and I think that's what attracted a lot of bluegrass musicians to Fox Hollow. The studio was great, and it wasn't about the gear, it wasn't about the room, it was about that vibe. It was about leaving the world behind and just focusing on the music, and that's what Miss Dixie was all about. She loved that. So that was really a special thing. So as you got closer, I'd drive up around the circle and park and walk in the door, and Miss Dixie would say, "Hey, how about giving me a cup of coffee?" Because she hated cold, old coffee. She wanted fresh and hot. So I'd get her a fresh cup, and we'd sit down and share coffee. And I'd always ask her, what's the bluegrass gossip? Because it was always keeping track of, what banjo player's going with who, and who left, what fiddle player left so-and-so, and somebody had this hit song. Can you believe that? Well, it's just a good time, just getting to visit with her and just seeing what was going on in their world. She loved bluegrass so much, and she loved bluegrass people so much too, and so it was just fun to share that with her. Usually about that time, after I was there for a little bit, Tom T would come up from working down on the farm. He always got up early, like 5:30, I'd say, and did his calisthenics and went and worked around the farm and did farm work. That's what he enjoyed. So he'd come up and he was probably about ready for lunch and bedtime. I think a lot of times he'd get a sandwich, and I think he was probably ready for a nap. But Miss Dixie would say, "Hey, Tom T, you want to write a song?" Okay. So we'd sit around and kick around some ideas, and it was really neat to watch sort of the wheels turn in Tom T's mind and Dixie's too. Tom T was sort of a novelist. A lot of times he knew what here's the plan. First verse is going to say this, second verse is going to say this, third verse is going to say this, and this is what the chorus says. It's almost like a plot. He had the whole thing figured out even before you wrote it. So it's pretty wild to watch that happen. He just has that amazing knack for that. So a lot of times we'd just toss those ideas around, and I'd sit and he'd throw me the guitar, or he'd play the guitar and try to strum some chords and get something going. And I don't remember every song and every story, because we wrote a bunch, and you know how it is. Time slips by and you forget all the stories. Some songs really stick out. When you download the project up through May 29th, you can get. I've written stories behind the songs, sort of PDF, tells you a little about each song. So if you're into that you may enjoy that. But so we'd write our song, and most importantly, we'd try to figure out what we were going to have for lunch. That was a big thing. We'd always Miss Dixie'd say, a lot of times Becky Lawrence would go out and grab us some food, or she'd make something for us, or Miss Dixie would make something. A lot of times if Miss Dixie was really wanting to write a good song, she'd say, we need some songwriter fuel. We need to make some fried bologna sandwiches. So that was her songwriter fuel. I guess there's just something in bologna that makes you write good songs. But if that's the case, maybe I just need to eat more bologna sandwiches. I don't know. But we'd always have a good time and visit. And then after lunch, it was time to demo most of the time. So we'd write the song in the morning and do some lunch, and then I'd hop in the studio and play all the instruments, sing all the parts, and do a quick demo of it. And the joke was that we'd write it in the morning, demo in the afternoon, and Miss Dixie would get it cut by dinner time. And a lot of times she would have an artist in mind. Maybe we'd even have an artist in mind. So and so's looking for a song, let's do one like this. And so she would pitch those songs right to the artist. Of course, having their track record, when Dixie Hall calls you up and says, I got a song for you, you're going to listen. So she did that a lot of times, and a lot of times we would get that artist to commit to recording that song before even dinner time rolled around. So pretty amazing process being a part of that. And it really just taught me so much about recording, and so much about writing, and just about life in general. So many great stories from that was probably the big thing, collecting stories from Miss Dixie and Tom T. I mean, it's just an endless supply of just amazing things and amazing people they got to know, and all the people that had been to Fox Hollow, from presidents to dignitaries, just incredible. They just an amazing past and an amazing life that they led. And so I hope this Fox Hollow Memory song sort of gives you a little glimpse into that, how much of a magical place it was. It was just such a special time, and I think everyone has seasons in their life, and that was just an amazing season in mine. I'm blessed that I got to be a part of it, and I'm blessed that they asked me to come along for the ride. So I'm really getting excited for you to hear this whole project and every song. The album is coming out May 22nd, this Friday, and I hope you will pick up a copy. I'll have it on the website. I'll also have it. It'll also be on iTunes as well. If you get it from the website, I'll have a few little extra goodies maybe that I'll include along with that as far as a download. Like I said, that PDF about the stories behind the songs, and I'll be sending out some information about that. Thanks so much for joining us, and hope you'll make your own Fox Hollow memories.
Fox Hollow memories, so dear to me. I long for those simple times, the way things used to